Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Thrift Store Prepper. And what do we have in store for you today's episode? Or in this particular episode? There might be more episodes coming today as I've got some more videos lined up to make after this one. But I'm not giving you any spoilers towards those content. You're just going to have to check the channel and find them for yourself. But this particular video, what have we got going on? So I've got a little $20 top up that I did earlier. Amongst some other things, I had to pick up some stuff for further videos. Again, no spoilers, but I got a little $20 top up going on, and we're also going to talk a little bit about what I'm starting to call micro prepping. So before we look at the items I pick, let's talk a little bit more about the micro prepping. And after we've seen what I picked up today, we're going to have a little look at my pantry, which I'm pretty sure you've seen by now. But from when we started to what it's looking like now, it's kind of a little bit organized and starting to get a little bit full. So the items I bought today are designed to fit in the space that I have available, and part of the space that I have available is in my little storage unit, which I'm calling my micro pantry. And in this, I've tried to pack as much food items as I possibly can that are going to last me for quite a duration. And I am a single guy, I'm living on my own, so I only really have to feed myself in the event of an emergency, be that I'm out of work, I have a slip and fall, or the shit hits the fan and zombies rise from the dead, or aliens, or government in an industrialized military complex take over humanity. So we're not going to be worrying about those issues right now. We're just talking about the micro pantry. So I am a single guy, and I'm also a guy that lives on a low wage income. And by that I mean I'm earning minimum wage, and I do get a tip out once a month, which I kind of tend to treat myself on, some of the things that I try to enjoy in life that make life bearable. And sometimes I do use a little bit of that tip out to top up the pantry, or use for thrift store prepper creativity purposes, should we say. So I live on minimum wage lifestyle. I live for the last 6 or 7 years here in Toronto, Canada, living in various room rentals, small apartments, illegal apartments, I should say, that were built within industrial warehouses and not designed for residential purposes. But when you have to put a roof over your head, you don't really care about the landlord's conditions as long as you're not on the street and it's affordable. So I've had a lot of issues with maybe not having a working kitchen, or having a stove that only one ring works and the oven's so disgustingly dirty that just by opening it you get salmonella, so you wouldn't really necessarily want to use. But I've always been in small spaces. Sorry, that was a difficult word to get out. Small spaces. And never really had much need or purpose to kind of prep for any real long-term eventuality or need to survive for a long time. But I have been, in my time here in Canada, out of work and had a couple of personal injuries, and in that time I've had to feed myself. And something I've mentioned quite a lot, I am a cook by trade, and I've had chef and cook positions in various restaurants, and do get to eat for free. And that's part of why I do what I do, is because the perk of getting to eat for free, as opposed to having to buy groceries out of my minimum wage. So it puts more money in my pocket. I get to eat a little bit healthier and better than I would if I had to buy my own groceries. But I'm not always at work, and sometimes I take weeks off. Sometimes, very rarely, I take a week off, but occasionally I do. And more realistically, sometimes we get sick and we're not able to get out and get to things. So having some food in the pantry is something that's very sensible. And the first time I was out of work for a long period of time, I was about 5 weeks, and in that 5 weeks I really had almost nothing to eat, and hardly any money to buy anything to eat. And wishing I had a pantry like I have now would have certainly alleviated a lot of stress and worries through those days. So what I come up with since I kind of started the Thrift Store Prepper, and as I said, when we did start this channel, it was a little bit on a whim and a prayer and a hope and a dime kind of thing. But we've got to where we are now, and it's starting to feel like we have a proper channel, and we do have a little bit of a community building within the audience. And this is all very, very encouraging and great stuff. But the micro pantry is something that I inadvertently kind of started on my own when I started this project. And I had a little filing cabinet that was not being used in the storage area of the basement that I'm living in. And I put that to use, and I started storing my food items in there. And over the weeks and months since this started, I've added and taken out quite a little bit of stuff, mostly my snacks and treats that I was loading up into my pantry. So what I'm trying to do is stop it being a semi-working pantry and just concentrating on my emergency food supply source, and that may be for whatever eventuality that may be. So other people like myself in a big city like Toronto, that there are millions of people like me who are living in very, very crammed spaces, very small spaces, very expensive rental city to be renting anything. Certainly if you're on your own and you've only got one job, then even a studio or a bachelor apartment is going to be bringing in anything over 1,000 to 1,500 plus a month Canadian dollars, and that's a lot of money to be forking out. So rooms, room rentals, rooming houses, places like this, millions and millions of people, students, people who've just come to this country, or even native folks. And I don't mean native as in indigenous people. I mean like people who were born and raised in this city or in any other big city, that they find it hard to make ends meet. But how do you prepare if you're someone who has to move frequently, short-term rental, 6 months lease, whatever, and you don't have much room? If you don't have a basement of your own or a garage that you can utilize as a pantry space, then kind of it almost feels a little bit hopeless or overwhelming to be able to prep if you don't have the room. So what I've done is put together a very small, compact little pantry, and what I try to do is pack that little pantry with products and items that are gonna pack a punch. By that, they're not going to be empty calories. If you have the room and space, you can have lots of variety of meals, and variety of items. You can almost make yourself a little mini store if you have the space for it, but I don't have the space and many other people don't. And the other thing that many people, if you don't have much space, you may not have much money to buy it. So micro prepping isn't just about using your space, it's about using your income. And if you're on a micro income, then I've told you, and you should know by now, that the dollar store can provide you pretty much with all your basic prepping needs. You're not going to get much variety. Some of the stuff's going to be pretty shitty, I'm not going to lie to you, but we're talking about emergency purposes, and having something to eat as opposed to nothing to eat is always going to be the better option. So living within your means doesn't just mean your financial, it also means your living space. So how do you prep within your means is kind of what I'm trying to set that example. I don't really earn that. I earn decent enough money to stay alive and have a little bit spare to do things, like that I enjoy occasionally, but not too often. And I'm not burning my candle at both ends. I'm too far gone to be partying, but occasionally, I do like to let my hair down, although I don't have hair anymore. But I try to spend about $20 a week, maybe a little bit more if I'm, just got my tip out. I might pay 40 or $50 and try to put items into my prepping pantry for a rainy day. Now, it is pretty full to the brim, and we're going to have a little look at it in a second. So I hope that kind of explains a little bit about micro prepping, and I hope that kind of makes sense. I'm not saying this is something that I've invented or I'm revolutionizing the prepping genre at all. Nothing like that. I'm just something that I kind of found myself doing and utilizing my space and utilizing my means to the best of my ability to provide something that can sustain me for a little while. So we're going to look at what I picked up at the Dollarama and the No Frills. Now I hit both, as I always tend to. They're next door, you know this if you've been following for a while. And some of these items are going to be very, very, very familiar to you. And partly why I talked a little bit more about the micro prepping was to give this video a little bit of sustenance and content rather than just show you the same items over and over again. And as I said, it just gives a little bit more explaining about kind of the thrift store prepper philosophy and micro prepping, and not having to spend more than you should on something that may or may not ever happen. So let's, no further ado, look at our first two things. And partly what I got, these Mario's cooked ham, they're $3 a piece in the Dollarama. You got a 340 gram, and although it is processed the shit out of it, it's going to provide us with some protein, some iron, and not much else. As I said, it's got some fat in it, but it's something that's going to fit us up, and it is a source of protein, and it's something that we can mix with other things. You know, we have potatoes, carrots. We can make a little ham, potato, and carrot dinner for Sunday lunch if we wanted to. And if you had the ways and the means to cook, then you know you actually can cook this up, and it tastes quite nice, especially if you get a little bit of honey and a little bit of mustard, and you mix it together, make a glaze, add a little bit of brown sugar on the top, bake that in the oven for 30-40 minutes. That's going to be quite delicious, almost Thanksgiving like. So we got 2 cans of ham, and the next thing I got were another 4 cans of the Wiener Schnitzels, not the Wiener Schnitzels, what the fuck I'm talking about, Vienna sausage. And excuse my language, there is a reason for me cursing in some of these videos. We won't go into that right now, but there is a reason. Don't worry about it. I don't mean it to offend. It just happens occasionally in my vocabulary, but there is also a purpose behind it. So we do have 2 cans of spicy and 2 cans of regular. And again, this is kind of for my OCDs, and you will see that in a while. Now, I picked up 4 of these little Mexican salsa sauces from the imported aisle. I think they're imported. Anyway, they give us a lot of iron, and they give us not really much else, some flavors and things like this. But these are just little mixers that you can add in with your ramen noodle. You can maybe just chop up some Vienna sausages and throw them with a can of this and eat with some crackers. It's a little snack. Now there's not much going on in terms of nutrition, but again, if you even chopped up one of the ham and mixed it in with one of the salsas or one of the green sauces, then that's going to make it a little bit different. So those are those. There, not much really we can say about that. So we've got the red salsa and the green salsa, the salsa verde, as they say. The other item I've got is these little cans of V8. Now, obviously, a can of V8 has got lots and lots of nutrition in these. It's not actually the most economic way of buying it, but again, it's for space purposes and micro prepping reasons. And I'm not sure if you can see this, but this has got quite a lot of vitamin A. It's got a lot of vitamin C, some calcium, some iron, some sugars, some fibers, some carbs, some potassium, some calories, and a little bit of sodium. But what I got this, you can just drink 1 can on its own, but they're handy to be, maybe mixing in with some of this and some ramen and making a soup, or they're a multi-purpose item is what I'm saying. And they're pretty small, and as they're in a can, they kind of do have a little bit of a longer shelf life than the bottled version. So I picked up those, and the last item I got was from the Dollarama, which was $1.25, and these are these little 10 freeze and eat bars. Now, you're supposed to toss these into your freezer, and they make like a frozen smoothie pop, I guess. Now, they're made with 10% fruit juice. They're gluten-free, and they have no high fructose corn syrup. That's a funny word. They don't really give us much. There's no proteins, it's just sugar and it's just flavoring, and they give us, I think, 70 calories or something like that per each 3. But what I've got these for is, we have our little instant oatmeals, or we have our instant grains in my pantry. So although they say these are for freezing, you don't have to freeze them, and they provide a flavor. So we've got pina colada, strawberry. Let's turn the English side round. I can't really read the French so well. So we've got a pina colada flavor, strawberry, banana, berry, and mango. And these are going to be nice things to add in with your oatmeal, just to give it a little bit of flavor. So they were only $1.25. I don't know how good they are, and don't even know if I'm going to toss them in the freezer, but we're going to try those, see what they're like. And it's mostly for space purposes, and we might not even get them again in the future. So that's pretty much what I've got. So I can't even remember how much it cost, but it was around the $20 mark anyway. So we're going to have a little look at the pantry itself, and you'll see why I got some of the items that I did. Now, I was trying to get my little chair over so I can sit down and remain a little bit steady. So many of you have seen this before. So what we're going to do here is open up this can. Now in this drawer here I've got my potatoes, and I think I got on this side 8 cans of potatoes, and on the other side I have my Chef Boyardee and kind of pasta things. So I've got some raviolis, some beefaroni, and some spaghettios. So there's kind of some carbs, some protein, and a veggie going on in each one of those. And so far I've got 2, 4, 6 hams. So with the addition, we've got 8 hams, and they do squeeze in. I just got to figure out the way to do it, because I've already done it. And there you can see I have a completely full drawer, and that's the reason we picked up the Marios, because that's filled that drawer. So we've got this drawer is filled at the bottom with our luncheon meat, and mostly beans, to be honest. And this is what we're kind of talking about, Sensi products. These items contain moldy nutritional daily requirement items, like your proteins. They got fiber, they got vitamins and stuff like that. So moving up to the next drawer, this is again pretty much all beans. So I've got 20 cans of beans here. I think in the bottom again I've got 18 cans in the bottom drawer, 18 cans in the second from bottom drawer, and 20 cans of beans in here. Now on top you can see, I'm sorry if I'm not pointing it in the right direction, I got my little Vienna sausages going on, and that's another reason why I picked up them today. So we filled another drawer in our micro pantry. And there you can see my OCD. So we've got hot and spicy on one side, regular on the other. So that's another 20 cans of Vienna sausages. So we've got 8 cans of ham. We've also got 12 cans of luncheon meat on the bottom. So whether or not you're keeping track of these totals, that's hiding in packing quite a lot of canned items. So this one's a little bit empty, and I'll be taking one of those out for later. And you can see why we're doing this. Sorry, I was pointing the camera away. I should really try and get a tripod or something. So we're going to just push these to the back. And as it happens, I don't think I'm going to have room for them all. So let's put the Salsa Verde on one side and the red on the other. So we've got little 6 cans going on there of and again I told you I'm a little bit OCD, so we're going to keep all the red ones together and the green ones at the back. And you can see I've got a few cans of the instant packs of the instant oatmeal there, and I do snack on those. We're just going to tuck those in the back. So probably the next visit we may add some more of these. We're going to toss those. Let's move that out of the way and toss little sun-kissed things, so they may or may not be used for a recipe at some point in time. So let's try and squeeze our oatmeals on the top, and they kind of fit in there quite nicely. Now I'm pretty sure they're not going to fit, no, so I'm probably going to have to take those out and lie them down flat, which I might try to do as we're here. And I'm trying to do it one-handed, and I think if I can get a single can out, would be good. We're to go. So we can lie down our little V8s, and this is kind of like I don't know, like a supplement drawer. And the other thing we do have in here also are 6 cans of Mario's corned beef. So this is giving us another 12 cans in the top here, and almost perfectly the 5 cans of V8 go in. And as I say, these are going to give you 1 portion of veggies a day per can. So that's kind of looking pretty decent in there. You know, we may not keep it this way. This is going to be the kind of last drawer that we're going to be working on, and that's kind of what you can see I picked those items on, because they fit in my space. There's no point me going out and buying a whole bunch of beans and potatoes and stuff and having no room to utilize. So let's try and calculate again. So we said we had 18 cans in the bottom plus 12 luncheon meats. That's 40 cans if I'm right. Correct me if I'm wrong. And we have 10, 18, and 8 is 24. So that's 64 cans. 84 cans, 104 cans, 110 cans, 106 cans of food, and 6 cans of the V8. So that's a pretty large amount of cans going. So the other thing I will show you before you go, so we've got all the cans of food in there, which is protein, fiber, calories, vitamins, everything we could possibly need from our daily requirements. And in here we have items like the instant oats. I have the big bag of the instant oats. I have a bag of skimmed milk. We have some couscous. We have lots of things like dried mashed potatoes and some instant pancake mix, just add water, pancake mix. And of course in this bucket I've got around 90 ramen noodles that we've crushed up and repackaged in our trail mix bags. If you've seen that video, you know what I'm talking about. If not, then go and watch it. It's a fantastic, exciting video to be watching. And in here, I can't even remember what I have. I think it's kind of randomy items, like I got some instant rice, and I think some more things like instant mashed potatoes and things like that. So that's been my little $20 top up, and we talked a little bit about micro pantry and micro prepping. And I hope by just looking at my little micro pantry that I have going on here, that you can see how I filled it pretty much to capacity. We have a little bit of space, and then to supplement the micro pantry, I have the 2 storage cases. Now they don't really take up that much space and room, as you've seen, maybe kind of 2 foot by 3 foot, or in diameter and width, in height, and most people I think could possibly squeeze that into their room. I mean, I know there are people, and I've even rented a room here in Toronto that was just barely big enough to get a mattress in. But again, if you were somebody that was a van dweller or had an RV or a camper van and you went on long road trips, then you could quite easily fit that into your vehicle and not take too much space, and know that you've got a pretty decent food supply to last you for a few months. As I say, I'm really not sure how long everything would last me in my pantry, but I'd like to think I could make that last for at least 3 months, maybe a little bit beyond if I really had to. So It's nothing groundbreaking, it's nothing revolutionary, it's just a little bit of common sense in kind of trying to make do with what you've got the best you can. And by that I mean money and space, and you know, the thrift store prepper is all about trying to save a buck or two, or trying to do things as cheaply as we possibly can. And that's why I've really utilized the Dollarama as my go-to, and I'd say at least 75% of my preps have come from Dollarama, and the remainder come from No Frills. And the No Frills items are usually the no-name, very basic, very cheap items available to buy. And that's what I'm saying. $20 can go a long way if you know what you're buying, and if you kind of follow the Scentsy philosophy, you can put a lot in your pantry. So this has been a shit video production for the Thrift Store Prepper.